Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and today's shout out goes to Rickik. Rickik was first to comment on one of my recent videos, and that's what is this shout out, so congratulations. Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here with a review of the Eachine VR005 FPV goggles. These are neat little goggles. They are intended for beginners wishing to enter into FPV flying. Okay, with that in mind, these things they're cheap. They're $30, about $30 currently. In the future, who knows? They might even go down in price. But again, intended for beginner flyers to bring them into FPV. Now, the problem with FPV flying is you need a lot of additional equipment other than the drone itself to get in the air. Normally, you need to also buy a transmitter to control the drone. You also need to buy goggles, and goggles have always been kind of expensive. You know, they've been a big cost to enter into this hobby. And with that in mind, that's what Eachine's come out with. They've come out with a lot of low-cost ones, the VR006, the VR007, and this is the VR005. Now, those other goggles, they're okay too. But what's special about these are, now compared to like the VR006, these have a widescreen view. They're intended to give you that widescreen 16:9 type of resolution, and it does kind of work actually. However, keep in mind that these are $30 goggles, so it's not going to be the clearest view goggles that you can get. If you want real clear view, you're going to need to spend extra dollars. But again, these are more than sufficient to enter into this particular hobby. The resolution on this is 960 by 240. Oh, they're claiming 960 by 240. I got a feeling it's probably something a lot less, like 320 by 240, that's been stretched to wide angle. But with that in mind, the screen itself, the actual screen, is only 2.7 inches in diameter, diagonal diameter, or let's just say diagonal, 2.7 inches. But with that, you do have this Fresnel lens, however you want to pronounce it, in the front of it, which magnifies the view 3.5 times. Now, those of us with older vision, like myself, those have been around, of us that have been around long enough that our eyes are starting to fade, you might have difficulty seeing through this. At least I did. I'm nearsighted, and even though I'm nearsighted, with these, when I put this up to my face, the view was kind of blurred for me because of my eyes, because I need prescription glasses. But those of you that are younger, that have good eyes, these will probably be more than enough fine to enter into the hobby. Now, we noticed that this also has dual antennas on the front of it. That does not mean this has dual receivers in here. This is not a diversity receiver setup. This is just, remember the old television sets? Those of you who've been around long enough to remember that. What was called rabbit ear antennas. That's what we got here, is just two different antennas that you can set the different orientations. I like to set mine about 90 degrees apart, like this, like the old rabbit ears, and that will help improve reception somewhat. But again, it does not have diversity receivers in here, and you're not going to get diversity receivers at $30. Neither does this have a DVR built inside, so you can't really record video from this, and I won't be able to show you what the video looks like other than putting this up to the screen, and I will do that to show you, give you a sample of what the video looks like. Now, inside of this, there is a 3.7 volt, 1000 milliampere hour battery. This does not require an external battery pack like a lot of other goggles do. That's a good thing about this that I would like. And that is charged through this micro USB port on the bottom here. So you don't need no special charger to charge this. You just use the provided micro USB cable and plug it into either a phone wall charger or your computer to charge these goggles, which is nice. Now let's go over the buttons on this thing. We have an on-off switch here. You press it down and hold it for about 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and that turns on the goggles. Right now we have no reception, but because I don't have anything turned on right now. But we also have this button here. Now this button here, it has menus that you can adjust the brightness, contrast, sharpness, and tint. Or actually, brightness, contrast, saturation, and tint. Along with setting the language of the goggles for the menus, the menu language, or reset it back to factory. Let's just press that a few times to show you that. Quick press, so that should be brightness, that should be contrast, that should be saturation, that should be tint. that should be language, and that should be reset. Now it also does have an auto scan capability that you activate by holding down this button for 3 seconds, and then it will enter into auto scan to look for the frequency of your drone. That is nice, especially in a $30 set like this. You also can adjust the bands and the channels within the bands by these buttons here. And speaking of the bands, this has 48 different channels that it can operate on. Let me turn it off for a second here. 38 different channels. Now, they have it listed as bands A through F, but that's incorrect. Bands A through F, Bowscan, the old Bowscan bands. This is actually band, I'll go in the order that they are, that you actually get with these goggles, and that's bands E, F, A, B, race band, and also Diatone band. So those are the 5 or 6 different bands that you get on this to get your 48 channels. Other things about it, that's about it. Okay, let me show you some sample footage from this. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to bring my camera up close to the front of the goggles and then plug in my old Mobula 7 here and show you, give you a sample of the video footage from this. So hold on, folks. Okay, this is the view looking down the goggles with my camera. I hope it is coming in. Now I'm going to plug in the Mobula, and we should be able to see video from it here shortly as soon as I plug in the battery. Get in your battery, and that should come up, and there we go. So there's the view. There's a sample view of from my Mobula camera of what the goggles look like. Now, it is not the best goggles in the world, not the sharpest goggles in the world, but more than appropriate for $30 to enter into this hobby. Okay, again, keep in mind if you have poor eyesight, you probably want to skip these goggles, but if your eyes are fine, these will work for you, especially in this price range. Now, one thing I did notice when I first got these is that the brightness and contrast, the saturation, tint, well, the tint was fine. Brightness, contrast, and saturation were all way off. It was a really dark video that I was seeing when I first got this. So keep in mind you should, and you probably will need to go into the menus of these goggles to adjust those particular parameters to your particular taste so that they come out fine. One thing that you notice here on there is the on-screen display. Most of that there is from the Mobula camera. That is not the features of these goggles, but these goggles will show the on-screen display of if your particular drone has on-screen display features like that. So again, that's a sample view of the VR005 goggles. More than appropriate for beginners to get in there, and just the right price for beginners. So hope you enjoyed this review. This is Quadcopter 101 signing out. Hi, Quadcopter 101 here again. Hey, if you want to get your own shout out in one of my future videos, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It's real simple. Just go to my channel page and click on that subscribe. And also make sure to click that bell button right next to the subscribe button. That way you get notified when I release a brand new video immediately and give you a chance to get that first shout out. So give it a try, folks.